Okay, we're on top of page Memches, 4 lines on the top. So we finished talking in the middle, actually, of discussing the three madrigas that this Maimar is all about, showing three madrigas in every madriga. So right now we're talking about machshava. So he spoke about three madrigas in machshava. When a person just thinks the word, like Shema Yisrael, just think the sentence, you don't even think the content. Then you do think the content, and then you think the deep meaning of the content. These are the three levels. Then he added another level that in thinking the content, the meaning, there's pnimis, de pnimis, which is we think about someone else, the other, or think about yourself. Now, page line 4 from the top of page Memches, he has another parenthesis. Now, if you remember earlier when he spoke about Dibur, when he split Dibur into three types, he spoke two ways. One is the three types of Dibur. When the person talks, it doesn't think what he's talking about. Doesn't talk emotionally, talks intellectually. That's one type. And then in Dibur itself, there are three stages. There's the Mitzvah Sapeh, physical speech. Then there is the Oisis Ruchnim, and then there's the Koyach Dibur Shebetzim Nefesh. So now he says that Machshava we can also split into three. Machshava itself, just like we split Dibur. But what he says here is really something it's a content, it's a concept. It's almost like an abstract concept. And I don't think we can point to it in a direct way. Okay, 4 lines from the top of page Memches. Just like we made 3 types of machshava. Machshava of words, machshava content, machshava deeper machshava. Same thing. Each machshava itself, it also has 3 stages. First, he says the hanochat machshava. The mouth has 5 modes of moving the part of the mouth to create letters. So that's a hemetzois. But it says in Sforim that machshava also has hemetzois. I guess it's some kind of madrega in machshava that it's the lowest madrega machshava, because machshava itself is the law, just like in Dibur. Hemetzois apesha b'Dibur means the actual utterance, articulation of words through your mouth. So in machshava, the lowest madrega of machshava is called hemetzois apeh. Vehein oisies man sepach mishkos makamach. So we know the Gemara says in Megillah, man sepach seifim amrum. The man sepach are the 5 letters of the aleph base that are double. They have the letter itself and the way it is in the end of a word. Schlossmem, langen. So these 5 letters really represent a more a certain madrigas, 5 madrigas in madriga machshava, which is called hemetzois sapeh. I don't really know what it means in real terms, but if I understand properly, this is the lowest madriga machshava. That's what he says. In Kenya Shleima, since we established, just like Dibur has hemetzois, machshava also has hemetzois. Shleima, this galis says machshava shebemetzois, machshava. So machshava also has 3 stages. The lowest level in machshava, which is called the mitzvah sapeh, not mitzvah sapeh, mitzvah machshava. This is the asiyah. Ois is a ruch in the machshava pnesit. Sir pnimis machshava etzem koyach machshava k'meshkos makamach. Okay, so it basically says that we can split machshava itself also into 3 stages. So it's hard for me to identify them in a way that we can relate to it. Okay, that's the way it is. Nimtza akoponim. What is the sikum? What is the the bottom line of everything we discussed in the last 3 pages, each of the 3 levushim, each of them contains 3 stages. Actually, these 3 madrigas, and also in this terminology, is really taken from Meribina. That's the way this machshava dibur ma'aseh. It's similar to the way we described it in machshava dibur ma'aseh. That's also in the Teichas Pnimim. Seichel Midas also has 3 stages. So first he gives you the global view, just like machshava dibur ma'aseh. The first view was machshava dibur ma'aseh, pnimius machshava, chitzenis is dibur, chitzenis is ma'aseh. Then each of them is split into 3. So the similar things he's gonna teach us in the Seichel Midas. So the general view is the pnimius hakaychas and achmida and achmeichin. The pnimius is the meichin. Like we explained a few times, that the meichin is the way the person is within himself, doesn't really relate to anything outside himself. It's the way it is within himself. He analyzes in a very detached way. That we say about in order to study meichin, you don't need a zulas. You just sit in your own mind, in your own box, in your own another word for it, in your own world. And it's only about how you perceive reality. It's only about yourself. Midas means how you react emotionally to something outside of you. This is more of an external type of relationship. But he explains it more. I just described it the way we perceive it in simple terms, but he explains it in a deeper way. The gila nefesh, the pure power of the nefesh is revealed more in meichin than in midas. Share favos, a meichin in la'atzmai, like what I just said. That the concept of meichin is the way the person is within his own world. He doesn't need anybody. Not only that, in order to understand something properly, to really analyze it fully, you don't need the interference of someone else interrupts. Not only that, when a person actually does his meichin, his intellectual experience, intellectual function is in progress, is in action, that's rak la'atzma. The ultimate way of understanding is on la'atzma. Sharimasha mashpil is megal azazuz rak chelak asiri bekamus v'loi be'echus. I'm not sure what it means even.
I never heard such a thing.
Yeah, I think there's a source for it. I got to look it up. That I mean, we learn Chassidus all along. The Rav gives the Talmud only it seems to them there, so etc. But here, if he uses Chelak Asiri, but I think what does the Gemara say? There must be a source of Chelak Asiri. No, not that. Not Nesa Mechaveri. I mean the one. That's that Gemara. That one of the Tanoim said whatever he got from his teachers is only like a drop from an ocean, very small part, not Chelak Asiri. But maybe it says somewhere also Chelak Asiri. Also, I don't know what it means. Kamas v'loi be'echus. I'm not even sure what that means either. But
That means what he got from his teacher is not even the echos; it's only the kamas, drop of the seed.
Yeah. That's what he says here, but it's like interesting. Like I said, in the general concept, we learned all the time. Chassidus always Rav et Talmud is a mashal and tzimtzum. That the Talmud gets from the Rav only an external, only a part, only a diminished view. Here he says something different. I mean, but it's not the common way of saying it. Chelak asiri bekamas v'loy be'echos. So what does it mean? Be'echos, it's even less than chelak asiri. I'm not sure what he's saying here.
Yeah, it's the contrast. It's even less. You didn't get the echos.
That's what he's saying, but it's he must be. It says he must be alluding to this thing. It's probably discussed somewhere else in a more barichas. I got to look it up. I have to find it. Okay, I'll try to find it. But okay, that's it's an interesting detail, and it's not negated to the Emshachinian here. It's an interesting detail that what we always learn, that the Talmud only gets a part of the Rav. Here he gives it a number, number 1. Number 2, he says, the kamas will be Akaponim. So that shows that Meichin Be'it is for himself. Anybody who studies, so the real studies for himself. Anything he gives over, that's already a diminished part, a tenth of. So all this stresses the point that Meichin is la'atzma. Mashenken midas, what does it say? V'hamidas kol ikon l'zalasekanayda. The whole concept of midas, emotion, is the way you're affected by the other. The other, you have a strong feeling of either love or fear or mercy or anger, any emotions. It's the whole emotion is about relating to the other. Now, Kanoida, that's Chassidus full of this, obviously. But I think in 1 or 2 places Chassidus says it's possible a person should also be angry at himself, etc. So there's explanation that over there it means the way he sees himself from the outside. Okay, this is like something that Yates the the concept of midas by definition is the relation to others. That's the whole point of midas. It even says, Chassidus says that the world, creating something outside of itself, chesed. That's a result of a midah, of a feeling of kindness, love. Hashenken la'atzmi is not checked.
Viaamar from the Rebbe, from that is talking about chelak asiri becomes v'loy be'echos.
Oh yeah, where did you see it? Where did you see it? Remember here?
In Google, I saw it.
Okay.
Okay. Shabbos v'ekel pkudei pashas chedesh v'chnissan tavshin tesvav.
Okay, so it's probably from this mimer. Okay.
And another mimer from Chaviv Yisrael tavshin chavov. Teres menach tavshin yudzayin.
Okay. All right, I'll look it up. No, but I want to find a source like this is what the Rebbe copied, what the Rebbe repeated what it says here. I want to find earlier source. I want to look for it now. 1 second. One second. It's one second. There's some kind of it's Chaim. Maybe it says it's Chaim. Maybe it says it's Chaim. Maybe the marker is it's Chaim. There's a marker in Second. חיצוניוס שבאל נס פנים מתחתן. So that's it, Chaim. What's the חלק הסירי? I know this, my mom and the Rebbe, usually they're Mamakamis. So this line doesn't have a source. I don't know. Nine Ches. Okay, say Nine Ches is the same thing. We have to find. Okay, maybe I'll try to find something better. All right. Like I said, it's not an interesting point. Okay, but now we're talking about midas. Midas, the concept of midas is the way you relate to the outside, to the other. Vagam. Okay, now in that gufa, he teaches us an interesting, very important action. Because really, when we speak about midas, usually, I'm sorry, let's read what it says. You just said that midas, the fact that midas is a sign is below seichel. Seichel is the way the person is within his own world, and midas is the way he relates outside of himself. Yeah, we see the Ratzon, which is above seichel. We always say Ratzon is above seichel. A person wants something not because he understands why, he just has a drive to it. That's also Ratzon means you run. Running means running out of yourself and getting somewhere else, which also chutz la'atzmai. We see that going out of yourself is not necessarily a sign that it's above seichel. So how does it fit in the puzzle? He says an interesting observation. In the shom, there are two types. Shom morutas ha'atzmai she'etzem morotz v'nimshach. That's the only way to describe the difference. But I think later he's going to talk about a little more. So in short, I think the point later he's going to talk about Rotz Mechal. It can be Mo'otzas HaNefesh. Mo'otzas HaNefesh can be for two reasons. It can be something which is a result, like a etzem nimshach. I think the first time I mentioned, like the marshal that a child is drawn to his parent, or a parent to a child, that's above seichel. It's not because he thinks into something. It's a natural draw. So that way is not out of himself. He's not really living his own being. To connect a parent to a child, that can be called the etzem rotz v'nimshach. It's not the pshat. The etzem leaves himself and nimshach is something outside of himself. It's an inherent part of the etzem. This type of chutz la'atzmai, that's not like midas. This is midas means our chitzonis ma'anefesh. So midas will be called an emotion which is a result of something of something from the outside. Let's say you see a person who is in pain, so it causes you to have rahmanas on him. So it's not like your etzem is nimshach. It's something it's that part of you that relates to the other. In a more chitzonistic way. So the mashalim I'm giving are not set in stone. It's just I'm trying to. We can probably each of them can be argued, but in general, I'm trying to find the
mashal chesed or the avo. It's not the etzem and nefesh.
That's what he says. It's not that. It's chitzonius. Avo is a result of seichel. You misbeinen and you come to the conclusion that this is good for you. So mainly you're drawn to it. It's not your real self. It's not your real self. Is to stay in your own box. But because you came to the conclusion that this thing is let's say is dangerous, so you're afraid of it. It's not in an atzmi. Inyan Atzmi is something from within yourself. It's not something a result of some kind of calculation. That's I think what's going to say it later. He said somewhere else, but here he just uses one definition. There's a hetzem rods or a chitzenis manef. Two ways. So mainly, just it's an important thing because
Gashmis is not me'er the etzem hanefesh. Pachad. Begashmi is a feel pachad.
Okay, so it depends on what you call etzem hanefesh. It may be me'er the etzem, but the way it's expressed, it's a chitzenis expression. So. Chassidus always talks about the difference between Rotzer Shel Ma'ala Mitam Vadas and there is Midas Shel Mata Mitam Vadas. So all these types of the divisions that Chassidus makes are not so clear cut that we can directly relate to them in a very like on a day-to-day basis. 99% of what we do is al pitam vadas, which means pitam vadas doesn't mean that it makes sense. Why you're drawn to this? Because it makes you feel good. So it's not something. It's not something pitam vadas. Usually, in the end of the day, the mishalim of Rotzer Shel Ma'ala pitam vadas and Chassidus 99%. It's really talking about today, but connect to the day, but also the libo. That's something which is above safe, but. All our mundane experiences usually are Rotzer Shel Mata Mitam Vadas. The mele, it doesn't really touch the etzem because it's something. It's a result of a cheshbon. Anything that's a result of a cheshbon, it's not the etzem. Cheshbon means there's the calculation here. You made a cheshbon that this experience is good for you, so you love it. This experience is not good for you, so you fear it, or you hate it, or you're angry. So, in other words, in our regular day-to-day experience, most of the time, most of these type of emotions are really they're really a result of something logical. Everything can be explained. Why you're drawn to something, there's explanation because you got used to it. It makes you feel good. It prevents something that you don't like. It's not. There's no good misholim and notice atzmis. So the only much like that's close, like I said before, is like a parent to a child. Which really, if you really want to parse it, you can say that also there's a logic to it. But that's already it's a deeper type of connection. So the closest we can get is a child and a parent to a child. So that the connection is really not based on some external calculation. So the mele, going back to our point here, that there's a concept of Rotzer Shel Ma'ala Mitam Vadas, which, like I said, and the most, in an interesting way, the most practical is really when we talk about Mesiras Nefesh, Faridishkeit, over there we talk that language, but in the day-to-day experience, it's not that's such a common type of thing. Mele is so that the point I'm making is that Rotzer Shel Ma'ala Seichel, it's also merutza, but it's a different type of merutza. It's not something that you really live yourself. Etzem nimshach. In other words, the person goes out of when the etzem is the etzem is not living itself by being drawn, by having a rotzer, by having an interest. The etzem stays the etzem. Hashenkin midas means that's chitzonius. I'm shachal davashchot atzmos. That's the point of this parenthesis. But going back to that discussion here, so he started saying, first say in the Kaychas Pnimim, he says Meichen is Pnimius, Midas is Chitzonius, and then he says before it is Midas Gufa. In Midas Gufa, there are two parts of the Midas. Chinas Chagas, Chinas Atmis Midas. Chesed Gvur Tiferes, or another language. Ava, Ira, Rachmin, there's other ways to look at it. That's Atzmis Amidus. And that's a Chedi Yisrael, Nehi Ein Lebar Miguf. It's outside of the body, just like the legs are outside of the toes, outside of the body. It's Nivdom in So now he's going to explain the kids of what is the difference in these two. Chagas and his believe in So in emotions, Gufa, he breaks it down into two parts. The more optimistic part is that the person in his heart has a feeling of kindness or mercy towards someone, but it's still within in his heart. It doesn't express itself. It's like a theoretical feeling. Let's say you're reading a paper about. I mean, I'm just trying to find something, give us a better view. You read a story, hear a story about some person somewhere who has a terrible tragedy. So it evokes in your heart feelings of mercy. But it's not something practical. It might say you go on with your life. It's not practical. But then he says, he is that level that it's not just, you don't just feel in your heart, oh, this person is the Tzachmanas on him, or I deserve to be good to him. I mean, he brings chesed and rachman because he doesn't want to be the negative. We can also find the opposite too, that you hear that terrible story that happened, it makes you afraid. All these things, and that's in a more abstract way. The he is more closer to the practical. What does he say? But Nehi, supposed to be the marshal of the Gufa, which is like a physical marshal. That Netzach v'Oid are considered the two legs, and legs are outside the body. That's a very Gashmic marshal. But here he says another point. Kloyes yoyetzois eichlashpia v'yitzoi from hashpoi. Not the side I compare to the Kloyes yoyetzois. The what is Kloyes? I forget. What is Kloyes? The bladder, yeah. What is Kloyes? Huh?
Kidney.
Sorry, the kidney. The kidneys are. It says in Chazal always that that the kidneys give you also certain. They give you some type of wisdom. What? Okay, I'm not sure it's a physical thing, but we always, even in our modern language, we always say you have a gut feeling about something. So, I mean, it's not it's nicht mein chap. I heard that people, the kinds of koheset is connected somehow to the thing the person has a gut feeling. You feel in your stomach that this is good for you, this is bad for you. That's what we call gut feeling. The exact. So that means basically it means the lowest level of the emotion, not the way it's in the chesed, like the heart, but it's more the klois, which is a low level. So, it says about Avraham Avinu, Nasa Shtekel Yosef, something that they gave eitzes. So that's the way it is in Chazal view the klois, the kidneys, as something that it has also some kind of emotional thing. And also the site, that's the reproductive organs, they also have some kind of ashpa. So this is the lowest madregen midas. Okay, so in this mishalim, it's a little. So we have first the physical motion from legs, and a little semi-spiritual like place. Here it says, basically it means like I think, like I just said, that the person can have a certain feeling to something, but it's just abstract, even not abstract in his mind, in his heart. He's very passionate about something. He heard of a thing that happened. It makes him avrachmanes, but it doesn't really translate into anything real. But the next step that the emotion really drives them to go do something, before, not the actual doing. The actual doing is the next step. That's malchus. That's not really nehi. But the part of the drive that actually moves them to do something, that is called nehi. That the emotion is translated in a real drive to action. So that drive is called nehi. So that's chitzeni shebchitzeni. Koponim. So we finished saying that the teiches hanefesh, as broken into meichin chabat chagas nehi, and that's also pnimius chitzenius chitzenius. Agam bechagas. Another way to explain the difference between chagas and nehi. Chagas, yesh mas chayes pnimi. In the experience of chagas, in that level of the midas, in the higher level, there's a chayes pnimi. There's a passion. When the person in that first stage, like I said before, that the chesed person feels that he wants to do good, to help, to have mercy. So it's more passionate, I would say. It's in a very excitable and passionate way. A person who is a good person, good means in the sense that he's very giving, Isha Chesed, so he's always says the lebedikite to run and do it, to be nice. So it says that Avraham Avinu had a lot of delight and pleasure from being good, from being giving. So usually the raya is from the opposite. It says that Avraham Avinu was upset. So the Rashi in the beginning of Vayera, that he was upset that the guests are not coming. Why? Because he got pleasure out of serving his guests. So that misanet. So that's a person. His emotion of chesed is very passionate. But gam, not only that, yesh was a gilei hameichin. In that level of emotion, there's also a certain expression of the meichin. In other words, in that mode of emotion, which we talk about here, the chagas, the person's mind is also involved. You know, he thinks about, he understands what's going on, he analyzes it. So the intellect is involved, the intellect and the passion are together there. So that's what happens in chagas. Mashenk and nehi, it brings that to contrast with nehi. Mashenk and nehi, ashpach is nitzach mavat she'em is a shum yisrael es chesed v'lev v'lo yigil aseichom ela em es a chayes. So nehi means it's almost like I don't know. What can we point to in a personal experience? In a person, I mean, we can talk about a different type of person, but within the same person, there's a type of person who doesn't think too much about the other, and he doesn't have a passionate emotion to the other, but he just practically speaking, he goes and helps people without really being involved emotionally, intellectually. But here we say that within the same person itself, there's also that stage. So he calls it netzach is mitzach. So that's the term mitzach. Mitzach means that mitzach in the sense, I think, he overcomes his own ego. I think that's something. He overcomes his own ego, and he just goes and does and helps the other person, not because he understands so well or because he has a passion in his heart. He just does it. It's not a result of a passion in his heart or like gila seichel. It's not a result of intellectual experience. It's not done with excitement. Then we have another illustration. So we have here and the Dalet meaning. So the famous Medrash says Arovis is ein bem tam v'reach. So I guess in Kabbalah, the two bad Arovis, actually maybe we had it earlier in the Maimon Kachtim. The bad, maybe we had it earlier. In Kabbalah talks about bad Arovis. Look on page Chav Gimel. Yeah, that's page Chav Gimel. Says Yisrael B'Sforim Esrog Malchus Lulav Yisoid Vadas Chagas V'Arova Netzach V'Hoid. The Arovas, the two Arovas that we take with the Lulav are connected Netzach V'Hoid. Now, what do we know about Arovas? Like I said, the famous Medrash Ein Bem Tam V'Reach. Does not taste and it does not smell. So the Arova Netzach V'Hoid represent a type of action which doesn't. So maybe Tam V'Reach will be Seichel and Midas, maybe. So there's no emotional involvement. There's no intellectual involvement. It's just again, we're not talking the action. The interesting thing, we're not talking about action yet. Action that's malchus. It's all within the Midas, within the emotion itself. There's the lower stage that it's just the way the meter relates to action without any tambourine. So now we finished discussing the three madrigas Chabad Chagas Nehi, but so Nehi he got into a little barichas to explain the reason of Chagas Nehi. Going back or before, okay, we finished with that. Report is Yeser now more specifically. Yesh b'chol midah b'fad gimel madrigas. Each of the midas, Chesed, Gvura, Tiferes, and Netzach Yisoid, it's not going to work it out all the details, but as he says in general. Let's talk about Chesed. Each midah itself also is broken into three parts. Just like we said earlier in Machshava Dibur Ma'isa. Machshava Dibur Ma'isa is also Chabad Chagas Nehi. Each one of them has three. It's similar when it comes to the midas also. Yesh b'chol midah b'fad gimel madrigas. The three sections that each midah have. Like okay, that part we looked up already. That it says in Mishnah, I think that the hand is made up of three parts. I forgot the English words for each of them. We have the part that's connected to the shoulder. The neck that we put on the film, the next part we put on the psuas, and then we have the actual hand that has the fingers in it. So the way it's described in that source that was brought in the WhatsApp, that's boys. That's the Chabad. That is the most maybe analytical. It's something that has a shape. It explains things. Mashenkin, the one above it is has less shapes. It's a lower level. Kaponim, so Gimel Perek Yad, that's just a dogma because the Yad, the Chesed Doye Yamin, all right? That's what the same Pesach Eliyahu. So the Yad is a marshal and Chesed, and just like the Yad is Gimel Pokim, three parts, three sections. Similarly, Chesed also. Shein Chabad Chagas Nehi. So now that first he brings the source. Now he's going to explain it a little bit. Kamoy midas hachesed shemitasechel v'atam mitzad ha'ava v'chulu mitzad ha'ava v'etzem hachesed mitzad teva ha'tov. So what it says here is I'm not sure. I wasn't sure the first time also. But it's if you read it superficially, that's the lowest madriga. So the madriga number one is Sachel Tam. That's Chabad. Mitzad Ha'ava, that's Chagas. And Teva L'Ch'era No, that's not pshat. I'm sorry. So I guess Av and Etzem HaChesed Mitzvah that's about Chagas. So that's why he says about it. So this middle madrega within Chesed doesn't have that passion, that liveliness, the excitement that's a result of Seichel. Mikol makom yesh bazeh er v'chayis hamida. It has the midah. Then there's the lowest madrega, like we said earlier, but earlier he called it not nehi, but he says there's also nehi shebe chagas, shebe chesed. I'm sorry, chesed itself is also a partner. Shem tzad tzachal levada. Ein of the says in this chesed klau ki or the chitzenish shows the shachs lights on me. Okay, so that's what he says. So he says just like a generally midas have there's two parts to the midah. Each midah itself also has three. Kamoikin v'moichin. So similar in moichin also have three stages. Give another example. Pnimis hamoichin and maxis hamoichin she'enim sheichen lamidas. So the pnimis hamoichin is that part of the moichin which is unconnected at all to the midas. Kamoya mischakem et davar leida etzem davar le'omkel hamitosik v'askola b'zeh b'afshotem l'bush hasoga. That's the type of the person. Okay, this is something we can relate a little bit. When the person just studies a concept in a very abstract way, unrelated to anything personal, just an objective analysis. He studies, let's say, halacha in Ilchos Negoyim, not negating, just he wants to understand the concept. So he wants to understand in a way that it's not melubash so much. It's not something that can create any feeling, because it's a very abstract sugya. It's also not just the sugya. So the way he approaches it can be any sugya, but the way he approaches it in an extreme objective manner, that it's not related at all to his own personal experience. That's limit. Then there's the lower level of the what Tamvas Maya, whatever is nice. It's an explanation for the midas. You say, I understand this. Why? It's negate me to know how I should feel to it. However, is whether I should love it or hate it. It's true that when you explain the reasoning, the intellectual reasoning, why you come to the conclusion this should be hated, this should be loved, it's real seichel, tamas v'amamash. You use real intellectual logic and arguments. But he says, because what part of the object interests you, how it relates to you, it explain how you should relate to it, how you should feel about it. It's not really a pure objective analysis of the object of the person the way it is. So it's similar to this mashal that he just gave now, the seichel, which was function is to explain the midas. Gen b'chlal, there's a concept of chetzenis seichel lo yeg b'tam midas. Sheichel midas, not only seichel, which is directly is direct goal is to explain the feeling. Any time the seichel is developed in a way that it's like you said earlier, levusha soga, that automatically shaykh lemidas, because anything that's levusha soga automatically triggers some type of feeling, even if that was not the goal. בדרך, כמו שכתוב במקמח, בדרך כלל, שכל זה, מבחינת הסלאפי בלבוש הסוגה, like I just said, what he said on top of the page, the first מדרג is not short in בלבוש הסוגה. בדרך כלל, that's שכל, בשלב של הסוגה, אני חיצוני את השכל. שמשכל והסוגה זו, דווקא יהיה אולי לסמידס, כמו שכתוב במקמח. So automatically, when a person analyzes something in a way that they can really explain it very well to himself, in a way of Levush HaSoga, so it automatically triggers midas. Not only if the goal, like I said, the goal is Mayer, even if that's not the goal, automatically the fact that you understand something well will trigger some type of feeling. What is that? That's called Sheikhel Shabasiya. Anika Seichel Amais. That's practical Seichel. That is not really essence of Seichel whatsoever. It's nivdol. It's separated. It's a new being which is really separated from real intellect. So it brings a dogma also. So it says Seichel Shebemaisa, and also Seichel Shebedibur is also the Chitzenius Shebchitzenius. So in Seichel Shebasiya, remember earlier when we spoke about Asiya, there's spoke about Koyach HaZrik and the Uman. So over there already said that any type of Seichel that's related to Maisa, it's not the real Seichel. Seichel means something an analysis of the object, pure analysis. If you use your mind, if you use your seichel to figure out how to do things, that's not seichel. Ain't that some seichel? There was a shtickle arichas in that, basically, if you remember, the whole line about it in page. Where was it? Page Mem Zayin on top. And the third line, Koyach HaSiyah, Koyach HaNil, Gam HaSeichel, B'china Seichel HaMaisa, Madriga Yesa Chayna, Ein Ze Me'at HaSeichel Klal. He used the same language there too. Then there we spoke about Maisa. Here he talks about Seichel. So in both of them he expresses this statement that Seichel that's about action, Seichel HaMaisa, is not Etzem HaSeichel. Real seichel basically means abstract analysis. When you use your seichel to tell you how to actually do things, that's not real seichel. Okay, so it brings us a dogma from dibur. Seichel shebedibur. Seichel shebedibur is also considered chitzenius, dechitzenius. Why? Shaygam be'etzem adibur yesh b'chachma b'seichel. Meaning, he says, the etzem speaking itself is an expression of some type of intellect. You have to know the letters. You have to know the alphabet. Otherwise, you're an analphabet. In other words, number one is seichel is to know the words, and also echlet tzarfam yachad, how to combine the letters into words, how to combine the words into sentences. That's a certain expression of intellect. We see that a child will teach a child in the first grade the aleph beis and the atu nekudas and words. It's really a function of his intellect. Not only that, we see some children pick it up fast and good, and some have a hard time. So that's a sign, I think that's what he's saying, that's a sign that even the very simple reading skill is an intellectual skill. That's a very low grade in dibur. That's the chachma shebedibur. Just reading skills or speaking skills, that's already a certain level of intellect. More deeper. Now he's talking about something much more sophisticated. Some people are good speakers. A good person is a very good speaker. He knows how to, a good orator. He just knows how to give a nice speech. Or write good. He takes an idea and he knows how to put it into words in a way. He takes the words and he presents them in the proper way. So all these illustrations, this is an illustration of saying. So again, so we have a bunch of them. There's a shiur, seichel ha'maaseh. Any intellectual investment in actually doing something. Number two, speaking, hard speaking and writing and reading. And number three, giving speeches. All these, he puts them all in the box of so that now we finished of seichel. So we finished describing these three madrigas. They are the way they are in seichel. Okay, all right. So see you Sunday morning. We're moving the clock, Motzei Shabbos. So
Shabbos. Okay. Shabbos.